So my question for you guys and everyone that's listening, would you date someone that has a mental illness, whether it be ADHD, schizophrenia, bipolar, anything, far as mental illness wise?
I would have to say it depends on what it is.
Okay.
Is yours?
No.
And if so, why?
So pretty much there's a lot of, we all have our own things to deal with on the daily. So if we ourselves are not, if we are barely handling ourselves, how can we also help someone else with their issue?
Cool shit.
That's what I feel like. So I feel like you can't have, granted, two people can if they're willing to, but I feel like if you know yourself and you're not ready to do it, then don't force it if it's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it depends on what there is and what the severity is of it. But yeah, it depends, man. Like I'm not like, say if I was talking to them and they got their shit together and they just told me like later, then I wouldn't be like, oh no, I'm not gonna deal with it, but because we already invested,
right?
But it's always also good to know, and and that's when you ask them how should I approach it if you were to go through an episode, what do you want me to do in these situations? And I think the person who has the mental issue has to give their partner some wiggle room because they may not always have dealt with that situation. Sometimes people get attacked and be like, oh, blah, blah, you don't want to date me because it's like, I never knew how to handle the situation. So how am I supposed to know? You got to give me some guidelines or something. Like, I don't know the terminology to use or this, that, and the third. You got to educate me so I can better suit your needs. If you don't educate me, then we're both going to be arguing at each other, and then that's going to put a bad taste in my mouth, and then I'm just not going to do it anymore.
I like that.
So I think that's pretty much the approach you got to do it. You just got to educate. And then you yourself have to want to learn that, because if I was dating someone that they couldn't speak and they were mute, I would learn sign language. Especially if we have similarities and we're interested in each other, right. I would learn sign language. But if I didn't have the interest or made an effort to do so, then that just shows that I don't really care, you know?
I like that.
So if you care for the person, you got to make it work.
Word. I feel you on that, man.
What about you, Joe?
I'm a little bit similar to what Zane said, but to go just a little bit deeper with it, it really does depend what it is. You know what I'm saying? How far along the person is. I don't know if it was something like, if it was so super super intense, if I could be able to, you know what I'm saying, on whatever it was. But also at the same time, how I feel about mental illnesses, which I feel like I should start with that first. I feel like a lot of mental illnesses is, it's like the word never ends. Illnesses. I feel like a lot of times I feel like people just get labeled with mental illnesses and they're not. I just think that's just how your brain works. You know, how you learn, how you view things. You know, I feel like everybody's different. So I don't think it's looked at as like when people say, oh, ADD, are you really, is it really quote unquote ADD, or is that just how your body processes, you know, how your brain processes things? And I feel like that everybody learns differently and everybody processes things different. And everybody's just so different, right? So I feel like we need to be able to learn and adapt to those different things. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, I never was able to, I had really, really bad reading comprehension growing up. Like really, really bad. You know what I'm saying? To where if I wasn't interested in it, and even if I was very interested in it, it would take me a very long time to get what I was reading. And that would really affect me a lot, because in school, you know how it was. You had to read all the time, everything, and understand what, you know what I mean? And that would really affect me. To where if I had that one problem fixed in school, I probably would have been like BA student. But that affected me in every single class. But then as I got older, I'm like, you know what? That's just not how I learn. That's not how my brain likes to learn. I notice now as I got older, audiobooks work for me, or listening works for me, or doing things a repeated amount of times. over and over again. Even visually or actually doing it. Like I'm a hands-on type of guy, because like I said, I always say self-assessment is key. So I self-assess so much that I've learned these things about myself. You know what I'm saying? I could kind of even hear you talk about it every once in a while. I could see it, but I have to actually do it. Like I used to work with my dad all the time, construction, and he's having me just watch. That's not going to happen for me. I can't really just watch you. I need to physically have the tool and be doing it. If not, I just don't learn it. So that in school, back in then, if you were to really admit, I don't, I'm not really that good at comprehension. I don't understand what I'm reading. I feel like 9 times out of 10, they would have classified me with something. ADD, something.
Probably. Especially
They
by you
said
being
that
a
with
boy.
me. I had a short attention span. And like when I was younger, I was like, it is difficult to float on water. I went to swimming school. Like I couldn't float. And they were like, "Oh, he has AD. He has a short attention span."
For one,
my mom lost her fucking mind.
Black people, when I went to basic training, which is crazy, they said black people fail the floating test more than anybody. We're more dense for some reason.
That's interesting.
See, I can't make this shit up.
We're actually more dense, which is fucking crazy. Because there was like 99% of the people that failed the test, the swim test, they were black because they couldn't just dead man float.
Yeah, and people keep coming at your life saying, "Oh yeah, all you have to do is just let your body." I like, yo, I can't float. Like my body cannot float.
That's crazy. And also, most people that's labeled ADHD are boys. They label boys before they label females,
which is interesting.
Very.
Well, like I've never seen any especially in classroom, I've never seen a student classified as ADHD.
You've never seen it?
No, except for my cousin. That's the only person
and
that
I know one female that's ever been labeled with ADHD. When I was in high school, one female.
And we know a whole bunch of guys.
Yeah.
But when it comes to female, not so much. Which is like, I feel like to me it's like that's rare. Like we don't see females. I think it's also, obviously it's super biased, but we don't see females as like having their, like we always see them focus and not having their attention like all over the place. So when we do hear, we're like, that doesn't sound right.
But we're animals at the end of the day.
Word.
Like
you're right.
If you think about like a male animal, any male animal, you see they be all over the place.
Yeah, bugging out.
Bugging, right. But the female animals be more laid back.
And focused.
Be focused. Like, for example, a lion's pride. The male, he's out doing whatever. And the women are the ones that hunt.
Which is nuts.
Which is, yeah.
Because they don't want, like, honestly, they don't need the lion. They only need to reproduce more lions and, birth in it. But other than that, they can hunt and eat by themselves.
They can. They pretty much take care of the pride by themselves.
Pretty much.
The male's just there. And there in certain parts of Africa, there are female lions that have adapted and started growing mane.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
They're starting, like, certain female lions can grow manes, and also I think I read something that they're able to reproduce without a male.
What?
Yes.
Nah, I believe that. I feel like the female human is probably not too far away from that.
There's
and then
in
men
certain
gonna
parts
be
of the world.
obsolete.
In certain parts of the world, there are females that are able to reproduce. Without a male. Yes. Humans.
Well, that's your answer.
But of course, you're not going to hear about it. But
no, of course
you
not.
just got to dig a little bit.
But that goes, like I said, back to we all have so many different things about us that like is in our development, our brain, how we learn things and whatnot. So it's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? To like, that's my first place with the whole mental illness. Obviously, so there's many people who are heightened, with those things, and their sensitivity to in those certain areas are very, very, challenging and very, it's tough. But so it really depends. You know what I'm saying? If it's on the surface and they just have like a mild, ADD or something like that, I would just want to look into how do they. Like how to really fix that, because I believe fixing it naturally, but sometimes so when you say that, not like whole, like the meditation and all that, kind of like what we were saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like actually like different traits, everyday traits of what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like how are you, like, really perspective. You know what I'm saying? And how you're doing different things. If you're at a job and you're having a hard time multitasking, or you can't focus on one thing. Okay, what do we need to do so you can? You know what I'm saying? Like what elements do we need to change? Because not everybody's the same. You know?
I think on that level, I think when it comes to ADHD and trying to work, it's not that we aren't able to multitask. I think we take on too many tasks. That's our major problem. Like we think we can do too many things at once.
Yeah.
And instead of just sitting down and knocking out one thing at a time, we try to do everything all at once, and then that's what kind of fucks you up, because now your brain is all over the place.
Yeah, because you can't focus on one thing.
On one thing, which, and a lot of times people with ADHD act off impulse a lot. Very impulsive, very impulsive. And reason I know these things is because I have ADHD. I know we started the conversation. Yeah, I have ADHD. I have bipolar. So, just being able to focus is like one of those things. And I've noticed a difference from when I was in high school, because all throughout high school I hated school. I couldn't stand school. My grades reflected it.
Yeah.
But I didn't find out I had a case of I had ADD instead of ADHD. I'm sorry, ADD. So without the hyperactive part, my grades completely changed my senior year. I found out my senior year, like halfway through my senior year, that I had it. So this whole time I had been going through school, not knowing, like, why can't I focus in class? Why can't I pay attention to class?
Granted, if you had Adderall, you would have been like,
man, what? I'm trying to, what? Because soon as, my mom will tell you this, soon as I got on my meds, like in high school, 12th grade year, my grades went from like D's and C's to like A's and B's.
wow.
All within one quarter.